So is Tesla a good company to invest in right now? What's going on, guys? It's Ricky with TechBud Solutions, and yesterday I made a video talking about and highlighting some of the concerns that I have about Tesla because of its most recent quarterly earning report. With that being said, again, I would be extremely biased if all I did was talk about the bad. I also am not afraid to talk about the good. One of the things that I want to remind you is some people think that because I share an opinion or concern about the stock that I'm completely against it. No, a lot of beginners watch my content, and I need to make sure that while everyone is hyping up the market, I also shed some light on the concern, just like I did when Tesla was running up to $480 per share. And I was one of the only YouTube channels that was making everyone aware of, hey, there is fundamentally nothing that changed about the company. During that time, which was late 2024, everyone was calling me a bear, right? They're like, oh, well, you just don't want to see Tesla succeed. That's not the point. Fundamentally, nothing changed about the company. All that changed was that Elon was affiliated with Trump, and because of that, it caused the stock price to go up. In a short term, right, it pumped up. Long term, eventually the market always ends up correcting itself. And then Tesla came crashing down 55%. I want to make sure that this is very, very clear. I will never be afraid to highlight my concern or the risk behind a company because a small risk or small number of people get offended by it. If you get offended by someone else's opinion that highlights the risk or uncertainty about a specific company, then that's a problem that you simply have with yourself. Now, this video is not going to completely just dismantle Tesla and encourage you to never invest in. No, I want to actually highlight some of the good that comes down to Tesla in comparison to Google. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. The first thing that I want to talk about is, well, how much did Tesla's stock price increase last week? Within 4 trading days, Tesla's price went from $224 per share all the way up to highs of $284. This was a total 27% return within 4 to 5 trading days, an extremely attractive return. Now we're coming back up to retest previous highs. Overall, on the on the day chart, it looks like early signs of a potential reversal, but again, a very common resistance range with a consistent descending pattern. Now, Google also reported earnings, but guess what? Google, after beating earnings, actually ended up retracing. Now, the thing that I specifically want to highlight within this video is there is this message that, everyone continues to excuse Tesla's stock performance because of what's to come, right? Robotaxi, Optimus Robot. And this was a thread that I found to be very interesting, and I wanted to share it with you. So let's talk about Robotaxi, which has been the big focus for Tesla for not just this year, but for the past, 5 to 7 years. Google, who owned Waymo, a lot of you guys might be familiar with that, as Waymo has launched in a number of very popular cities, right? Arizona being one of them, Phoenix being a very popular area where Waymo is allowed to do business. Google, who owns Waymo, is doing about 250,000 paid trips per week. And right now, they are valued at only 17 times their earnings, while Waymo continues to show growth and volume rapidly. Now, Tesla, who is currently valued at 157 times its earnings, is not doing any paid trips. They haven't launched their full autonomous vehicle or service just yet. What's your choice to invest in? So right off the bat, this is pretty favorable to Google, right? To Waymo. Waymo's doing 250,000 rides per week that are paid. They're actually not just talking about it, they're actually delivering and in the field, while Tesla has been talking about it for 5 to 7 years, but they have not done any paid trips. Now, I love this one because it kind of debunks it. So not debunks it, but it I think justifies a lot of the hope that Tesla investors have, because that's what I want to call it, because that's what it is, right? It's hope. So you meet 2 people, Jake and Josh, and don't lose me here. Jake has a job making $250,000 a month, while with no other skills. It's trading at 17 times his skills. Josh, who's considered to be Tesla, doesn't have a job, but is working towards a job that might make him $500,000 a month, 172 times compared to his current skill. What is your choice as an investor? So the thing that this highlights is comparing Waymo to Tesla, right? Are you going to hold off for a company that might be producing a lot more later down the road versus a company that is producing right now, but at a much smaller multiple? Now, the thing that I like about this is that it does talk about Tesla's potential in the future, right? Because there is no question that Tesla has a lot more vehicles on the road than Google does. Let's acknowledge it for what it is. Millions of Teslas are on the road. Maybe a few hundred or a few thousand Waymo vehicles are on the road. Let's not excuse that. Tesla does have the potential for growth B. The second thing that I also want to highlight is production. When it comes down to full-on production, if this becomes like a really core business for Tesla, then yes, production-wise, Tesla has that all dialed in, where Google or Waymo simply would not. And the reason I want to highlight that is definitely on the back end, something an investor is going to take into consideration. The potential for growth, if Tesla ends up actually delivering, is so much greater due to in comparison to Waymo as of right now in the scale that they are doing it. But the first thing that I want to acknowledge is, well, right now Waymo's only doing 250,000 rides a week. That's nothing in comparison to what Tesla can do. The thing that I want to remind you is that these companies like Waymo and just like Tesla, and this is the part that I think people have it confused. Just because, I have 2 Teslas myself. I have a Tesla Cybertruck and a Tesla Model X Plaid, 2 of the most expensive Teslas that are on the road, right? The thing that people need to understand, it's not our vehicles right off the bat that are going to be available, right, for full autonomy. Just like Waymo, they launch in specific cities. They have to get approved by those cities. Just like Tesla is expected to launch in Austin, Texas in June. You guys are all aware of that, right? So regardless of how many vehicles Tesla has on the road, they won't just flip a switch and then now everyone has full autonomy. And I think this is the part that they have confused. It's a ramp up, right? They test in a specific area, and this is the one thing that they highlight here. So Tesla will launch its first Robotaxi service in Austin, Texas. In June, the CEO, Elon Musk, told investors at the company's April 22nd earnings call. Tesla vehicles are to be tested on the streets of Austin now, Musk said, to make sure that we deliver a safe product. Kind of common sense. But the thing that, again, people often overlook is Waymo's already in that city, as well as many other cities. So just like Waymo, Tesla will have to launch in incremental cities as they gain approval and certainty that their product is safe. So I want to combat the argument of, well, Tesla can scale much quicker. And I want to respond that with, yes, as long as they gain approval and show that they can deliver a safe product. Let me use Waymo as an example. And this isn't to hype Waymo up, but I live in Arizona. And there was an accident in Tempe, which is one of the regions that Waymo was allowed to do service. This was about 2 to 3 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. So Waymo's been doing this for some time with actual vehicles on the road. There was a lady who unfortunately was jaywalking. She wasn't permitted to do it, but again, accidents happen. She tried to jaywalk. It was in front of a Waymo vehicle. The Waymo vehicle struck her, and I believe she passed, right? They paused the Waymo service in that area for some time, because they needed to make sure that it was a safe product, that it wasn't the vehicle's fault, that it was, a human error to some degree, if you would say. You have to take that into consideration, is that when it comes down to this huge, I get so excited when I really think about the full autonomous vehicle. Let's not even focus on Waymo or Tesla. How cool would that be? That I can click a button, my Tesla can come out of my garage, pick me up at the, Phoenix airport and drive me back without me having to call or really depend on anyone. And then while I'm not using my vehicle, how amazing would it be that yes, my vehicle can possibly generate revenue because other people can use it as a form of transportation. I see that potential. That is so exciting. That is the future. And I do believe that Elon is a huge driver in that idea of innovation. But the thing that you need to remember is that we are so far from that, right? With Waymo and even Tesla, they will scale accordingly as they gain approval and certainty that they can deliver a safe product from major cities to smaller cities, right? And there's laws and regulations that will stunt the potential for that to gain traction in the entire United States. Nonetheless, it is exciting. It's something that, we definitely want to not be afraid to invest in. But the argument that Tesla is just going to flip a switch and be as competitive as Waymo, it's It's not about how many vehicles, in my opinion, are on the road, because in that case, yes, there is no question Tesla would win because there's millions of Teslas on the road versus a few thousand Waymos. But it's, can they deliver a safe product? Because what happens if Tesla, God forbid, it gets in an accident and someone dies, and then that gets paused and then it gets pushed back years? The same thing that happened to Waymo. With more vehicles on the road, more accidents are likely to happen. And let's be honest, we live in a country where they always just want to scapegoat. They're always going to want to point the finger at Tesla and that it was Elon's fault for doing it. I don't agree with that. At the end of the day, I do believe that there's a ton of human error, and it will, in my opinion, drag the time that it might take for this thing to go in full effect. The second thing that I also want to highlight when you compare Waymo and Tesla is Waymo is owned by Google. So when you try to compare these two and you see that Google is trading at 17 times its earnings, Tesla is trading at 157 times its earnings. The thing that I want to highlight is that this is just like a side hustle for Google. Who do you think has more cash on their balance sheet? Google or Tesla? Like, come on. I get it. Elon's the freaking man. Elon, in my opinion, is one of the greatest minds of our generation. But let's call it for what it is. If Google saw that this form of autonomous driving was extremely profitable, Google would have way more, would have grown much quicker than what it's doing right now. They have been in service for years, but they only have a few hundred or a few thousand vehicles, Waymos, on the road. There has to be a reason behind it. It's probably not as profitable. There's probably some uncertainty. And this kind of brings me back to that same concern of, why did Elon supposedly shut down the internal analysis of the Robotaxi, that it would have shown that it would have lost money? Like, that brings me back to the same concern that I have with, not concern, but it's just like the reality of it. It's Google, we all know that they're an incredibly intelligent company. If they're not aggressively trying to scale Waymo, it's for a specific reason. It's not as profitable. It's not that they can't. If anyone can, Google can. Check how much money they have in their balance sheet. I can promise you they can, with what Tesla has, they can do cartwheels over Tesla. That's not the debate. But the thing that I want to remind you is how they compare, the why. Why do you think Google is not doing it? And again, this is just a side hustle out of Google of what it's doing. This is Tesla's one of its main focuses. This is what Tesla has been pitching for years. And I want to remind you of that. And this is Tesla trading at 157 times its earnings because it's been promising Optimus robot. It's been promising full autonomy. Google hasn't been promising. They've been delivering and showing signs of growth on top of everything it is that they're doing, right? And they're still only trading at 17 times their earnings. That is why, in my opinion, being much more conservative, I see Google to be a better bang for the buck. Just my 2 cents. Where Tesla, yes, it does have the potential because they have so many more vehicles on the road. But guess what? There's probably a reason on why they haven't launched this quick as Google. First, they need to deliver a safe product. It takes time to show those results. And then on top of that, as long as no accidents happen, then they can scale accordingly into other major cities and then so on and so forth. And even then, the third thing that I want to highlight is people are saying and excusing the idea of Tesla is growing because of all this potential. Well, isn't that potential already factored into their price? Because we all know that Tesla's not valued as a car company, because if you take every publicly traded car company in the world and you combine their market cap, Tesla is still worth more than all of them combined. So we already know that full autonomy and Optimus robot is already factored into the price. So then what do you mean? They haven't launched yet. It's already factored into the price, but now you want to project even further value based off of something that they're going to do that they said that they were going to do before, but I thought that got factored in already. Do you get like what I'm trying to say? Is like, at what point do you acknowledge that, okay, maybe this thing is getting a little ahead of itself, right? Maybe we do need to see Tesla begin to show some results. And this is the last thing that I want to show you, right? This video that highlights how long Elon has been talking about full autonomy. I kid you not, this is 2015. Note, this would be 10 years from now, 10 years ago.
autonomous driving. I think we're basically less than 2 years away from complete autonomy.
By the end of 2017.
Yeah. I think probably by end of next year, maybe even towards the end of this year, but I'd be shocked if it's not next year at the latest. I mean, it's looking quite likely that it will be next year.
My best guess is that we will get there this year.
I think Tesla will have sort of a ChatGPT moment. Maybe if not this year, I'd say no later than next year.
Wait, say that again. I'm sorry. You're going to have a
sort of ChatGPT moment.
Oh, you will. In terms of suddenly it will.
Yeah, suddenly 3 million cars will drive themselves with no one.
And now here we are in 2025, and like on a bad earnings call, he's telling people, don't worry, the fully autonomous is coming.
And this is the part where, again, where you're seeing a lot of Tesla investors concerned. I do agree that if Tesla were to flip a switch and launch, there would be no other car company or competitor that would be able to distribute as many autonomous vehicles as Tesla. No question about it. They have more data. They have more potential because they have more vehicles on the road. They have the production in comparison lined up. The thing that I want to remind you is that it's been 10 years, brother. How long will you continue to wait for a company to deliver in a promise that they've been making for years? And this is why I want to show you this, right? In comparison, if we show the growth potential on the week time frame dating back since 2015, a consistent uptrend pattern. Obviously, there's been pullbacks along the way, as if you pay attention on why these pullbacks happen. This was the pandemic pullback. This one in 2013, 2014, there was a significant pullback there. We have another one here from highs of 208 to the recent retracement. That was the trade war, the tariff war. But then if we look at Tesla, and in comparison, this is just on technicals. Obviously, exponential growth, all the promises. This was dating since 2015 to where we are right now. Extremely volatile, a lot less consistent. But again, it's because there's the hype, there's the attachment that we begin to gain by being able to invest in a company that's ran by Elon. And don't get me wrong, I've been there. But then you can't be surprised on why there's so many people that are just fed up with these empty promises that have not been delivered. It dates back since 2015, yet nothing has been delivered on that side. And then based off of their most recent earnings, there's three things. Year over year, their core business is not growing. They missed earnings. They also reported or failed to report a $97 million loss in crypto when the quarter before they reported the Bitcoin gain to help offset what they would have reported if it wasn't for that gain. Like, how long will we continue to allow a CEO make empty promises that they don't deliver on? And that's the question that I would leave you with. Maybe your tolerance is a lot longer than what most investors are able to withstand. And there's nothing wrong with that. I hope that it pays off for you. But I hope that you can also see why so many people are fed up with Tesla, with Elon, because his inability to show results from the promises that he continues to make. So again, I just wanted to make sure that I talked about the potential, the growth that Tesla had to offer, but then also in comparison, show other companies like Google that yes, they do not have as many vehicles on the road. I agree, because Tesla would win when it comes down to that. But it's not just about that. It's about what they can actually prove. And there is no one else better than Waymo that has been able to prove that has been actually on the road in comparison to Tesla, because Tesla's not going to just flip a switch. They are also going to have to test in these major markets and show that they can deliver a safe product. So again, you guys let me know down in the comment section what you think. I hope that it earned your thumbs up. Please consider subscribing. And again, the whole point of this video was just to shed some light and talking about the good, but also not being able to afraid to highlight some of the bad. If you ever want to be able to watch me trade live again and have an unbiased approach about what the market has to offer, regardless of how much you like someone, I think it's very important to talk about the market in the way that makes the most sense, and that's common sense. So again, if you ever want to tune on into my live trading sessions, that's going to be the second link in the description down below. And I hope to see you for our live trading session as soon as Monday. Take care, team.